So getting into today's episode of GH, um, Curtis is just hitting brick wall after brick wall with everybody. Um, he wants Jordan to open those files, and now he wants Sonny to use his connections in the PCPD to get him that file on his father. I am so glad Sonny turned him down. I'm glad. Sonny was like, listen, I'm not getting involved in this. He said, this is family business. You and your daddy need to work this out. But Sonny pretty much told him what everybody else keeps telling Curtis. If you want to know what was in that file, go ask Marshall. But see, that's the got you. That's the problem. Every time Curtis asks Marshall anything about his past or anything about where he's been, all Marshall does is clam up on him, get an attitude, and storm off, or just tell him to leave it alone. So that's not going to work. If Marshall talks to, if Curtis talks to Marshall about this, he's not going to get anywhere. He's already been there, tried. He's been there, done that a few times, and got nowhere. So I don't see him getting anywhere now. But like I said, I'm glad Sonny stayed out of it because I think he should. And he picked up that pill bottle. And that's why he decided to stay out of it because he was like, you know what? I know what it's like dealing with a father, who wasn't a part of your life for a long time, then coming back in your life. He was like, I know how it is, the stresses of dealing with a dad like that. And of course, Marshall popped up in there trying to figure out what they were talking about, and Curtis wanted to talk to Marshall about his run-in with Sonny at the hospital. But yeah, I'm glad Sonny stayed out of it. That was a good choice that he made. So anyway, moving on from that, I totally get where Jordan was coming from. Like Dante being a lead investigator on the porn case with his stepsister, that's a problem because that's his stepsister. Any evidence he gets as the primary detective on the case is gonna, a defense attorney could easily get it thrown out. They could argue with a judge that, oh, that's her stepbrother, he tampered, he did this, and it'd be tainted evidence. So I totally get where Jordan is coming from. She's allowing Dante to be on the case, but he will not take lead. And I don't blame her. But I also can't blame Dante either because he doesn't want this case, falling through the cracks. He doesn't want no stone unturned. And of course, they got the tip from the hotline that Esme called in or whatever. And Dante, once he looked inside and saw who name was up in there, he knew it had to be something wrong because he knew there was no way Trina could have did this. He know it, and Jordan know it too. But being the professionals that they are, they got to follow up. They can't ignore it even though they don't believe it. And I agree. I'm like, you can't. You still got to do your job at the end of the day. But I hate that this plan that Esme so far is working because all of her plans so far seems to be working to perfection at this point. Um, she was laying it on thick. Like I don't understand why Spencer just can't get it through his head. Like this girl is a liar. Everything about her is a lie. Um, he basically told her. He said, "Listen, take the pregnancy test right now." Because she still hasn't taken it yet. So he was like, take it right now. She said, no, I'm not going to take it right now. It's my body, my choice. I'm like, here we go with that my body, my choice. I mean, technically she right, but it's like, why are you refusing to take this test right now? Why are you doing that? If you're so late on your period or whatever and you think there's a possibility, why not take it when he asks you? Obviously, it's something fishy about it. Everything with this girl is a tactic. Everything with her is a manipulative tactic. That pregnancy test, it's all a tactic. And Spencer, he really does not want this child. Like if she's pregnant, he's hoping she's not. He's praying that she's not pregnant. Because I agree with him. When Cameron came in there, he told Cam, he was like, listen, if this girl's pregnant, that means I'm tied to her forever. Because he was so sure. He was like, I use condoms though. He said we use protection. And here she go. But they're not 100% effective. Yeah, unless you poke holes in them. And we all know Nell ain't I done said Nell. Lord have mercy. Because when I look at Esme, I just see Nell. It's like I just see another version of it. Um, but poking holes in condoms is definitely up Esme's wheelhouse. Like she's not above doing anything. At this point, to get the end result that she wants. Um, he need to figure out a way to get her to take that test because I don't believe she's pregnant. And when she stormed out of the out of the apartment, she was sitting there smiling and stuff like that. She had that little cheesy little look on her face. I'm like, yep, it's all a game. That's all it is. And now she's worming her way into Nicholas's home. Like once Ava left and stuff to go check on Avery, she waited until Ava left. And she walked over to Nicholas like, oh, my credit card was declined. I don't have enough money to stay in a hotel. Can I stay with you? No. Mm-mm. I will give you $20. You can go to the Motel 6. They will leave the light on for you. Or I will give you $30. You go to the Super 8 and get a room. But you're not staying with me. Nicholas would be a damn fool if he let her stay with him. And I know he will. Ava better keep close eyes on this girl. Come like everything about her is just, ugh, absolutely not. And I'm so glad Trina and Jocelyn had their conversation and they cleared the air on some stuff. Because it was a miscommunication between them. You know, Jocelyn thought Trina wasn't texting her back because she thought Trina was embarrassed to be her friend because of the whole sex tape thing. Trina felt like Jocelyn wasn't returning her text because she thought Esme got to her and convinced her that Trina was guilty. It was just a whole big miscommunication. I'm glad that they talked. And Jocelyn is sure Esme did it. She just doesn't have the proof, but she know Esme did this because she basically feels the same way. That Esme is nothing but a Nell 2.0. That's exactly what she is. She's a carbon copy of Nell, and she knows it because this is all stuff that Nell used to do. You know, play the little victim act, put on this little smoke and mirrors pretend routine just to snow everybody. But then behind the scenes, she's running around planting evidence, doing this, doing that, you know, just being manipulative. This is definitely up Nell's wheelhouse. And this is what Esme's now doing. Um, and I was so pissed when Jordan came up in there asking Trina to go to the police station where I said no. Nah, this ain't the one that you looking for. Y'all better look further into this case because Trina's definitely not the one. And I really hope even after if they find that burner phone that Esme planted on her, I hope Jocelyn still believes her. Cause she should know, like you should know your friend group. Like, come on now, you should always know your friend group. Who's capable of what, who's loyal, who's true. You should always know who you're dealing with at all times. So anyway, Cameron seems to think that it was a bad idea for them to do that interview because he talking about, oh, I don't want to see you hurt. My thing is, she was already hurt before y'all did the interview. I think doing the interview was a good thing because they were already trashing her prior to the interview. You know, calling her, you know, slut shaming her and stuff. But yet he gets a pat on the back and a high five. You know, so I'm glad Jocelyn was pointing that out to him. Like, dude, because he keeps saying that, oh, you know, this is affecting us. And I'm glad that she corrected him. Like, dude, it's affecting her more than you. It's not really affecting you. Your reputation got a boost out of this video because everybody see him as the man. You know, you tap that, you hit that, you know, that's what everybody see. But her, they see her as a whore and everything else, and it's not right. You know, so I'm glad that he's standing by her on this, but he needs to understand, like, this is affecting her more than you. You know, like you're seen as the big man, you know, and it's not right. So he needs to understand her position on this. Like she had to do that interview to clear her name, you know, and to come forward and let everybody, you know, listen to what she's saying or read what she's saying and say, here's my story, this is the truth. And whether they believe it or not, it is what it is, you know. She just gonna have to hope that this dies down soon. And, you know, because you know how some kids can be when they're like 18, 19, they could be, you know, juvenile and a little foolish. So, you know, it's hopefully another scandal happens and she can move past this one. It always does, because I mean, come on, scandal is everywhere. So anyway, Victor, he was not here for Ava at this point. Like Victor pretty much dismissed Ava because he told Nicholas he wanted to talk to Nicholas alone, you know, because this is a family matter. Ava looked at him like, oh, so I'm not family now. And it was so funny because when Ava got up, Victor stood up. You know how they say a gentleman is always supposed to stand when a lady enters or exits a room, and that's what Victor did. Notice how Nicholas was still sitting down. So I guess you're not gentleman-like. She was like, you know, I'll just take my martini and go over there. She said, you know, tell me everything later, darling. I agree because Victor thinks that Nicholas is not going to bring Ava up to speed about what they talked about. So why you can't just cut out the middleman and just talk to Nicholas while Ava's sitting there? Because he's going to tell her anyway. So it's like, come on now. Let's not waste time. But according to Victor, the whole reason he wants the whole family to unite and rally around each other is because he feels like the Cassadines lost their power base. Like they lost their influence, especially internationally. And he's basically talking from a business sense. Like he wants to get the Cassadines, reclaim their old glory as a powerful, influential family overseas, internationally, all that stuff. I'm like, this is what he's talking about? I don't believe him. I don't believe him. He claims that he's trying to do a merger, I guess, with Cassadine Industries maybe and another firm, a financial firm or whatever. I don't believe him. Like I said yesterday, the Cassadines have a way of doing that. They mix a little bit of truth with a whole lot of lie. And I think part of what he's saying is true. And the only part I think that I believe him on is the fact that the Cassadines lost their influence, maybe, their power base a little bit. I do agree with that because with Mikos being gone, Helena being gone, Stavros being gone, Stefan being gone, basically the main people who brought fear and power into the family, they're gone. So I do agree with him on that. It happens. I mean, when I was watching Days of Our Lives, when Stefano Demira died, the Demiras lost a lot of their influence and a lot of their fear. People used to fear the hell out of the Demiras. Now they pretty much laugh at them. Like they don't fear them anymore. So I totally get where Victor's coming from. And he feels like they lost that. And he's trying to get that back. But I feel like he's lying though as far as the business go, because why would you need the whole family for it? Like he made it sound so sinister, and I'm glad Nicholas picked up on that because he did. He was like, "Oh, something wicked is coming at us," and this. He made it sound like it was very bad, but he claims that he's not trying to be like Mikos and go for world domination. I don't agree. I feel like he up to something more wicked than what they think and what he's telling Nicholas. I definitely feel like he's only telling Nicholas a small part of the truth. Hopefully, Nicholas ain't buying it. I hope not because I wouldn't buy that foolishness either. So anyway, I love how Taggart pretty much told Trina a little bit about the history between Gia and Nicholas. And he just felt like the Cassadines are not it when it comes to the romance department. He does not want his daughter mixed up with the Cassadines at all. Because he was like, no, ain't nothing good coming from that. But, Portia and Taggart are proud of their daughter, for separating herself from Spencer for the time being. Because, she told them her conversation with him about how he had to cut Esme out if he wanted to continue whatever friendship they got. And, he didn't do it. So she was like, I had to chalk up the deuces. And I don't blame her. Sometimes you have to. Um, but it was so funny though. I just love how, they kind of talk about history a little bit. And he talked about Nicholas and Gia and stuff. Because, to give her a little insight, because sometimes you need that. Like father, like son sometimes, It's like, I don't blame them for not wanting their daughter with Spencer, you know? Or any Cassadine for that matter, because the Cassadines ain't nothing but trouble. So anyway, it was funny watching Ava and Portia talk because Ava was like, "Oh, I'm here celebrating Spencer's homecoming." Portia was like, "There ain't nothing to celebrate." Portia made it clear, like, there ain't nothing to be celebrating nothing about, and I agree. Even Ava was like, I agree. Even Ava agreed with her. She was like, "I'm not really celebrating it either." She said, "I'm only doing it for Nicholas's sake." At least Ava honest about it. I love that. But Portia is really still not here for Trina supervising Spencer at the art gallery for his restitution. She don't think that's a good idea due to the current circumstance. And she feels like Ava should talk to Trina about how she feels about continuing to supervise and stuff like that, if that's something she still wants to do. And I totally agree, because now that things have changed a bit and shifted, I agree. I feel like, maybe that's not the wisest thing to do at the moment. To continue that little thing. But it was super funny though, because when Taggart saw Esme talking to Nicholas, he was wondering to himself, he was just wondering like, oh, so that must be Esme over there. He looked like he wasn't fond of her. Because usually people know how to read people, you know what I mean? Even if you haven't really met them like that, like you don't know them like that, your first impression of them is always, the first impression is always, the make or break. And everything that he heard about Esme, he know he don't like her. I can tell he don't like her at all. So anyway, that was pretty much the whole episode. Hit the comment section. Let me know how y'all all felt about this episode. I will see you all later. By the way, the new actress that's playing Trina, I like her so far. I really do. I think she's doing a good job. I miss Sydney a lot, but this new actress, I think she's doing a pretty good job so far for her first day. But yeah, hit the comment section. Let me know what you all thought, and I will see you all later. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. See you all later. Peace.